Oh, good. You picked a part of it.
Touch someone, I can feel their feelings. You feel love.
Yeah, I guess, I feel a general unselfish love for just about everybody.
No, sexual love.
No, I don't.
For her.
No.
See, you just told everyone your deepest, darkest secret.
Dude, come on. I think you're overreacting a little
You
bit.
must be so embarrassed. Do me.
Oh, let's start the show!
Welcome to Cordkillers, our mission to report the intel from the front lines of the cord-cutting revolution so you get the information you need to be able to watch what you want, when you want, where you want, on whatever device you want. We've been saying it for years.
Yeah, finally
I've also been saying I'm Tom Merritt.
catching fire. Hi, Tom Merritt. I'm Brian Brushwood, and that was the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 trailer. Had you seen it before today?
I have, and I enjoyed seeing that bit again, which reminds me so much of high school lunch.
Oh, my God. Well, and plus also, like, it's brilliant because they basically do a little 1-minute episode of Guardians of the Galaxy. You see just enough of the characters that you like to be all like, that's right, that's what they do. And then, and I guess Groot will be a baby. The whole dynamic of, like, Groot as this overpowered Chewbacca character is out, and now he's like this delicate snowflake, I'm led to believe, that Rocket has to take care of.
Yeah, the question I have is how fast he grows. Is he baby Groot or I guess toddler Groot for most of the movie, or do we get back to towering Groot pretty quick by the end?
Man, I feel
don't even
like you
care,
might
though.
have just
I
opened
love
up
these
an
guys.
opportunity
I can't wait
there.
to see him in action again.
Yeah, no. Regardless, dude. I mean, that smart thing about that trailer is that it focused on the characters. I don't know who the bad guy is. I don't know what's in peril. Don't care. All I know is that those characters are being the characters that I love from the first one.
Yeah, and I just want to hang out with him again. That's why we do this show, so we can have the information to be able to do those things, like watch things we enjoy. And now we're going to start off with the primary target. So 1 week in to DirecTV Now service, and we can say the following now that it's launched. It's certainly the cheapest. If you can get in on the 100 channels for $35, which last I checked, they're still offering. They haven't said how long they'll offer it. You also can sign up for a free Fire TV stick or free Apple TV, something Sling TV also offers. Definitely the best guide interface that's out there right now. I prefer it over PlayStation View's PlayStation interface over any of the Sling TV interfaces. It's very intuitive, very easy to use. Searching will bring up your on-demand options. So if you're missing that DVR function, it does help with that. You can sign into third-party services, which is really limited right now. So a lot of the best features of the service are yet to come. But Brian, it sounds like even with all of that, a lot of people tried it, and as with any launch project, a lot of people ran into problems.
Yeah, so this is a funny thing where I can't decide what category to put this service in my brain. There are certain services that they get announced and they roll out slowly and they have troubles at rollout, and I don't mind it. Other services, for example, on Christmas you get a new Xbox and you sign in your Xbox Gold account and all of a sudden you can't use the thing you got for Christmas. I'm going to be pretty upset about. I'm inclined to be permissive on the slow rollout. It sounds like they're being fast to respond. And number one, separate from everything, I adore the fact that Twitter is now the entire world's help desk. And in public, you have to answer. Like, of course, their first responses are usually, hey, can we take this conversation to DM so we can talk not in public about fixing this? Hey?
Which, I mean, sometimes there's a legitimate reason to do that. You want to get people's service address or credit card numbers or whatever, but yeah, there's also another reason, which is like there's a lot of complaints.
Yeah,
it'd be great if we didn't have more of them out here.
Well, did you have any hiccups? Did it work fine for you?
So yeah, the most common issues being reported were an incorrect reporting of simultaneous streams. I've had this on Sling before. I didn't run into it on DirecTV Now, but that is a common problem. It's a DRM-like problem, right? When you're trying to restrict people, the restrictions will sometimes unfairly restrict people. Incorrect channel blackouts happened to me, but then the channel kept playing. Some people were just getting blacked out. What would happen to me is I'd go to a channel and it will say, oh, I'm sorry, this channel isn't part of your package. I'm like, well, then how am I able to turn to it? And then the video would play anyway.
Yeah. That's, I mean, I don't know. That's like a bank error in your favor if it's true.
Yeah, but the biggest problem was on-demand playback stopping mid-show and then skipping to next episodes, or videos just stopping. I got it with live TV where we'd be trying to watch something and the channel would just freeze. and Eileen would go and restart the channel. They should go back to the guide, press the channel again, and then it would pick up and carry on streaming. So that implies that they're just having server errors and load issues.
So is Eileen totally on board now with the whole cord cutting? Like it's just settled, it's done, and now it's like a minor inconvenience that DirecTV needs to be restarted?
Yeah, no, this is her thing of like, she has gone well past like we need to have cable or anything like that. It's more about I wish there were easier ways to remember where things are. She's like, I can't keep track of it all. Some things are on a Roku and some things aren't, and which service has what, I don't remember. So that's her complaint, but she hasn't said I need to go back.
Yeah. So what kind of grade do you give it? Number one, like I'm willing to forgive the difficult rollout as long as we're seeing very quick fixes to everything. Given a week into it, how are you feeling?
It's a fair. I'm going to discount. I'm not going to grade on streaming quality because when it streams, it looks fine. And a lot of those issues with streaming will be fixed after a bumpy launch, which PlayStation Vue and Sling TV also had at launch. They had horrible issues with streaming when they first launched. So let's bracket that off. Looking at everything else, I call it a B-. Its big advantage is the guide is pretty and it's cheap at $35.
I care less about the guide being pretty as much as I care about it being fast. Is it easy to navigate your way to things?
It's also pretty fast.
Oh, hey, hold on.
No, it's when I say pretty, part of it is that it's really intuitive and easy to get around in. So yeah, it is also fast to move around in, but you kind of forget about the guide in a good way. Whereas with Sling and PlayStation, you're always like, oh, that's right. I have to move to this area to find things. The DirecTV Now one seems to be the best designed. And
you're using what kind of device to access it?
I've been testing it mostly on the Apple TV. I tried it out on mobile devices too.
Yeah. And so a B-, how does that rate compared to like Sling TV or the PlayStation Vue?
I'd call PlayStation Vue an A.
Wow.
Maybe an A-, but its reliability is fine now. I rarely have any glitches with PlayStation Vue. The DVR works way better than it used to. The fact that you can log into almost every channel's app that it has now, the fact that you can get it on things that you don't even have to have a PlayStation to get it. You can get it on the web now. It has all of the things I want. It's a little more expensive than DirecTV Now, but I think the fact that it's called PlayStation is putting a lot of people off. That's really its only downside. Sling TV, I would give a B+. Especially when they get cloud DVR, they might move up into that A-. They don't have quite all the channels. They've got most of the integration with third-party apps, and it's a little shakier sometimes on reliability, although that's unfair for me to say because I haven't really been watching it as much as I used to.
Yeah. Well, right on. So if you were going to make a recommendation to somebody who has not dipped even a toe into the cord-cutting revolution, somebody who's like, I currently have cable, what would you recommend I do? It sounds to me like you would go PlayStation Vue would be your first recommendation.
Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be different for different people. If you're in a market that PlayStation Vue doesn't have your ABC, Fox, NBC, CBS channels live, that's going to make a difference. And it's going to depend on your over-the-air reception and all of that sort of thing. If you don't have, if you're not inside the United States or you don't have good bandwidth, it's going to be the same for all of them. But for most people, I think PlayStation Vue is the best. DirecTV Now is definitely third. I mean, they don't have CBS yet, although Les Moonves said at the UBS Global Media and Communications Conference yesterday, CBS not being available on DirecTV Now, I'm assuming we'll be able to make a deal with them. As they said in The Godfather, we are not unreasonable people here. That's his quote, by the way.
Well, he referenced The Godfather specifically.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
He also dropped and Moonves does this all the time. He said that they were talking with YouTube about their upcoming TV service, and then he said, I guess that's not announced yet. He said things about talking to Apple before, too. Seems to be a negotiating gambit of his to drop these sort of things. But anyway, back to DirecTV not having CBS yet, not having DVR yet. I just don't think it's there yet. If it gets all of these things, it fixes its reliability issues, then I think it could move ahead of PlayStation Vue because the problem with PlayStation Vue is mostly that you can't watch the main service outside of your home. A lot of the channels are restricted when you're on mobile, whereas if you use Sling TV or DirecTV Now, pretty much everything you get at home you can get on the road.
Am I remembering right? Does DirecTV, since it's owned by AT&T, don't they have some kind of sweetheart data?
Oh, right. Yeah,
thing?
there's the 0 rating. And,
Yeah.
and in fact, let's read Howard's review here. Howard from Mountain, Maryland got sucked into DirecTV Now, mostly because of the free Apple TV. He's like, look, if you prepay for 3 months, you basically get an Apple TV at a $45 discount plus free DirecTV Now for 3 months. He also has AT&T, and he said, while traveling, to Wi-Fi challenged family, that might come in handy because they don't count your DirecTV Now video against your data cap, at least for the time being. Anyway, he says, initially I was disappointed. The list of devices this doesn't work on is huge. Windows 10, unless you install Internet Explorer 11. It doesn't work on Edge yet.
What?
Chrome OS, no. Although it might work on Safari. They recommend the Chrome browser, but it doesn't work on the Chrome operating system. Those aren't necessarily unique to DirecTV Now, by the way. Linux, forget about it. DirecTV Now does work on iOS and Android and casts pretty well to Chromecast. So leaving the negatives and yet to be fulfilled promises behind, I logged on Sunday evening and cast HBO's Westworld season finale to my big screen. I didn't have buffering, stuttering, or any of the complaints that early adopters of PlayStation Vue and Sling TV seem to have, so he had a good experience there. I was, dare I say, surprisingly pleased and enjoyed the viewing experience. Provided AT&T expands broadcast network selections, the browser and streamer options, adds a cloud DVR, and keeps that locked-in pricing, they may have landed me as a cord-killing customer.
That's interesting. I didn't really think through the fact that that this service, for some reason in my mind, I thought HBO programs would always come from HBO servers, but not even HBO has its own single set of servers. HBO Go has a set of servers that's separate from HBO Now, and so on top of that, you have DirecTV. I've talked before about how HBO Now, everything seems to stutter, but now that I'm thinking back on it, I did not have that problem for the last few episodes of Westworld, but that's neither here nor there with the DirecTV discussion. I just hadn't really thought in terms of the server strength, the reliability of signal from different services.
Right. It's going to be different, and you can log into HBO Go with a DirecTV Now subscription too. So if one isn't playing well with you for some reason, you could try the other one, I guess.
Right.
All right. Let's take a quick break and thank the folks who make this show happen. Do we have time to thank all 1,756 of them?
Yes.
Brian?
Let's begin with Ashley Adams. Now Whitney Brown. I'm going to pretend the comedian is on there. By the way,
Whitney Brown.
A Whitney Brown's name. You know what the A stands for?
No, I don't.
Another Whitney Brown. A Whitney Brown is it's the same as saying Whitney Brown Jr., but it's a more antiquated way. I never knew that. Until
he's
I
Whitney Brown,
found
not the Whitney Brown.
I mean, I can't say I
Just
never knew
another
that because I'm the one who just told you.
You had obviously heard it at least once.
Yes, I guess at some point it became known to me, and now I'm passing it on to you. But
Unless you're just making it up.
The important thing is, hey, you want to do something really fun? Do me a favor. Go to graphtreon.com/creator/cordkillers and take a look. You can see that we are continuing to grow thanks to your donations. Now, every month there's a big drop off as everybody, gets the credit card bill, and some people have to, sometimes credit card numbers expire. Sometimes people rethink what they're able to donate to. So we've seen a drop off, but look at that green, beautiful trend up, right over the $1,500 mark. We were there in gravy land for a while, and we would love to get back there again. You guys will never, ever, ever feel the sting of this. You're going to click a button, you're going to see a little thing on your credit card statement at the end of the month, and you're going to feel this swell of pride knowing that you helped to keep us loud, live, and independent. And certainly if you're somebody who cut the cord, then you'll know that you owe just a little bit of some of that money you're saving.
Yeah, we try to do our best to bring all of that information that you're paying us, or at least some of you are paying us, to do back to you so that you can use it. That's why we do this show. So let's get to the main part of it. How do you watch this stuff?
Yeah, good question. Should have a segment called How to Watch. Oh, wait, that's what this
look
is.
at that. Ask and you shall receive. Hey, Netflix updated its Android and iOS apps Wednesday to allow downloading of some of its movies and TV shows for offline viewing. If a show is available for download, it will have a down arrow next to its episode listing. A Netflix rep told Recode's Peter Kafka that Disney-owned video would not be included, and that includes the Marvel shows like Daredevil. But there are a large number of things available, and you get them for about 72 hours from the point that you download them. So if you're about to head out in an airplane or or if you're on your morning commute, you just download it in the morning and then you can watch it offline.
I'll tell you what, man, this is the kind of thing that 5 years ago would seem to us to be the most important thing on the planet. And in fact, I would say that most of the people listening, most of the people on this cord cutting adventure with us would feel the same way. Now that it's here, I couldn't even be bothered to download as a sample a single one of them because I couldn't think of any situation in my day-to-day life that I would need this feature. And I thought, how different a world do we live in? Even up to and including, the kids are in the car wanting to watch their movies, and oftentimes we have to get DVDs because we don't want them always using the bandwidth. But, I mean, at this point, it's like, whatever, use the bandwidth. It's fine. Like, here's what I want to know, is for whom has this been a life-changing thing? And tell us about it. Write us at cordkillers@gmail.com. Because I assume, did you even try this feature, Tom?
I did. I mean, I just tried it to make sure it worked, and it did, and it was fine. And I regularly use Amazon's downloadable feature for Justified. Because a lot of times I'll watch them on the weekend before our show. And if I'm traveling, it's the perfect airplane ride. I download Justified and watch it on the airplane. That's it. That's the only time I watch it. So I'll be curious if there's ever a Netflix situation where I say, oh, you know what? I'm hopping on the plane. That's usually where I'm going to use this. I think I'll download this for offline viewing. It's so funny that because we had these arguments about whether Netflix should do this or not, and Netflix was so resistant to it. And then, of course, they hit all these developing markets where bandwidth is severely restricted, and they realized we need to do this to compete in these markets. And of course, if we're going to do it for those markets, we might as well turn it on for the rest. So yeah, I mean, I know there's use cases out there worldwide, but it's still, I'm with Brian. I'd like to hear, for those of you who are super excited about this, what is your reason for it? One other reason you might like this is if you're an Android user, you're going to be getting a more efficient stream when you download it. Videos in VP9, the codec developed by Google, will save storage space. For iOS users, they're going to use H.264 AVC High, which also saves a few bits. And Netflix also changed the way they encode to tailor compression to specific scenes. So that should improve the video quality of this as well. Just a couple side notes there.
Yeah, right on. Boy, that's one of those weird things that it's hard to get bent out of shape excited about, because it's like, it'll look slightly better and save you slightly more. It's that zero to anything leap is a big one that it's easy to get excited about, but it's little incremental leaps like this that make it, this universally superior experience.
Netflix is out there like sending corrections to places like The Verge saying it's also for better picture. And The Verge is like, yeah, but all people care about is storage. If they're on a 16 gigabyte phone or an 8 gigabyte phone, they don't care if it makes it slightly better. They care about storage.
Yeah, correct.
And people who have 120, 64 gigabyte phones, they probably don't even care that much. Ted Sarandos was also talking at that UBS Global Media and Communications Conference, by the way, and said that Netflix will release 20 unscripted series in 2017. So scripted is what we're used to getting from them, but they're going to do some unscripted stuff too. Although unscripted, yes, we know sometimes they're kind of scripted anyway. But we're talking about competition shows, singing contests, reality shows, that kind of thing. They're planning to spend $6 billion on original content in 2017. That's up from $5 billion in 2016. And as for sports, he poured cold water on it again, but said, don't look for us to be bidding for league rights, but indicated that league creation could be something the company would be interested in. And I don't know about you, Brian, but when I hear that, it makes me think esports.
That's interesting. So league creation. So when you said league creation, I mistook it to mean creations from the leagues, like the Eagles does a behind the scenes documentary or whatever. But you're saying the actual creation of new leagues, like for example, just recently Blizzard announced individual franchises. You could buy your own team of Overwatch players, and exactly. they are persistent teams that you will manage. You will show up. You will do interviews to talk about how your team is doing.
Yeah, I mean, I could totally see them doing what you're saying too, with like partnering with the NFL on a 30 for 30 type series, and I think that would make sense. But yeah, I think when they say league creation, I've seen so many people doing what you're talking about. I wouldn't be shocked if Netflix said, oh, you know what? Guess what? We're starting an esports league, and you'll be able to watch it exclusively on Netflix.
That would be brilliant and not at all outrageous. I'm glad it's happening less now than it used to with the success of Twitch.tv. But the phenomenon of people watching other people play games is no different from the phenomenon of why we love baseball, why we love football. Every time we watch baseball, every time we watch football, every time we watch basketball, we're 12 years old. We've played that game. I know what it's like to have time about to be running out and taking that shot. That's a tangible thing to me. And likewise, these first-person shooters, these strategy games, even games like Hearthstone, these are games where as they become more ubiquitous, we all remember having played it. We all know what it's like to be in that clutch cargo. All the rest of the team is dead. It's up to you to capture the flag and make that happen. As that becomes a universal shared experience, then the respect for esports is only going to go up.
I do love the idea that league creation could mean they're just going to start a football league and go head to head with the NFL.
Like the return of the XFL.
Yeah. And Netflix Basketball Association.
I'd be okay with that.
Anyway, the final Netflix bit here. If you were worried, which I'm sure you weren't, that Netflix wasn't making enough money in the United States, there were some concerns. Their subscriptions seem to have plateaued a little around the time of the last price increase, but Netflix has become the #1 top grossing app in the iOS App Store in the United States for the first time. It has been the top grossing app in Mexico, India, and Colombia before, but never in the United States. And remember, the price of subscribing to Netflix in iOS is more than it would be otherwise because they have to give 30% to Apple. So not only are they getting enough people to sign up in iOS for Netflix that they are the #1 grossing app, but those people are paying more than the rest of us.
I'll tell you what, if it was a big wake-up call. We've talked about the Mono Rogue YouTube channel launching, and you see a number like, 40% of your users are watching on mobile, but then all of a sudden you realize like annotations don't show up on mobile devices, and we fundamentally changed the way we were doing giant aspects of our delivery to match the fact that mobile devices is fast becoming the #1 way people interface with the internet. It's the place they go to actually touch the websites and so on.
Yeah.
So that's even at a premium, that makes sense because they don't have to get on a computer. They don't have to do multiple accounts or whatever because it's easy. It's that convenience versus the other thing.
Yeah. Fidelity.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Or I would say Fidelity counts as like discount prices, right?
I suppose,
price convenience.
And don't forget, you can sign up for Netflix, on the web and not pay the same price as everybody else and then log in on your app. We know that. All of us do that. But that doesn't count in this chart. This is the top grossing apps, right? The only way that they get to be top grossing app is by grossing money. And the only way Apple can count that is if it's signed up through their system.
So you're saying of all the apps, Netflix is the grossest.
It is this week anyway, or at least
congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
May you be grody to the max, Netflix.
Reed Hastings, you are the grossest. All right, let's talk about what to watch in our under surveillance section.
Not like real estate. It's all about location.
Under surveillance.
Hey, you know what I've been wondering lately is why more shows aren't doing Christmas specials, good old-fashioned Christmas specials. I was looking on Hulu over the weekend, just what Christmas specials are available, and thank goodness Netflix heard me. We're going to get exactly what we want on December 23rd.
Can I guess? Can I guess?
Oh, I almost gave it away. Sorry.
You did. I was going to guess literally anything other than Sense8.
Yeah, Sense8 will get a Christmas special and also a new season. 10 new episodes coming May 5th. But yes, December 23rd, the Sense8 Christmas special. Nothing says the holidays like 8 people whose minds and talents are linked around the world.
One person opens the gift and everyone else is like, ooh. And one of them tries to give a gift to the other one and they're like, I already know what it is.
Yeah, I feel like this is it. Yeah, there's got to be a white elephant. The whole thing is just a white elephant exchange. I feel like this is meant to be in the tradition of UK Christmas specials, which air on the 25th. And don't often have much to do with Christmas at all. It's just, we're getting a special episode from a show that isn't normally giving us episodes at this time of year. So I guess that's what this is supposed to be.
No, that makes sense.
Netflix confirmed that Luke Cage will get a second season coming soon. You may have assumed that was the case, but they hadn't actually made it official yet. So now it is.
Man, I'm sensing a theme. These are all shows that Brian started but did not finish.
Hulu's 10-episode adaptation of Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale will apparently be the next show that you start and don't finish.
Yes, I'll start it but not finish it. Great.
Coming in April 2017, Elizabeth Moss stars as Offred. Studio released some still images this week, and it looks spooky cool. And I suppose it's, political, so a lot of people are going to be into it.
All right, name just one show that's going to return in 2017 that I actually watched all the way through.
Game of Thrones.
Oh, okay.
I think that's the only one I could. Honestly, that's the only one.
No, I was trying to queue up the next story.
Well, Westworld will not return until 2018.
See, that's what I was teeing you up. I said 17.
I misheard the question because I thought you were trying to tee me up. And I also thought what you said was name one show that will return in 2017.
Well, I did because I was expecting you to say, I'll tell you what won't is Westworld.
That's too easy for me, Brian.
Every so often our mind meld, our corpus callosum doesn't quite do its job.
Anyway, yeah, Westworld, they're saying, oh, yeah, no, we have a deal with HBO. It takes a lot. They're like, we don't know how Game of Thrones does it, but we're not going to. We're going to take our time and do these things right. Not that Game of Thrones doesn't do it right, but they're not going to kill themselves, I guess. So yeah, no Westworld returning until 2018.
And by the way, stick around because we're going to spoil the hell out of Westworld after this show, which of course it shows up in your very own feed if you're a patron.
You get it early, just saying. Okay, there are lots of shows for Brian not to finish out there. How do we know which ones to watch? Ask Ayaz.
Hey, Cordkillers, it's me, Ayaz. Here's what's new online for December. Netflix is bringing back Carrie, Tori, and Grant in the new series White Rabbit Project. The trio takes on weapons, tech, and escapes. The production company behind Mythbusters is behind this new project. It hits Netflix on December 9th. The second season of Netflix's Fuller House goes online starting December 9th as well. The first season was nostalgic, and it treaded on the so bad it's good territory. We'll see if the second season is any different. I'd bet no. Amazon's December also brings back some strong originals. The new season of The Man in the High Castle hits Amazon Prime Instant Video on December 16th. It's an intense show that takes place in a world where the US lost World War II and is occupied by Germany and Japan. Mozart in the Jungle Season 3 arrives on December 9th. No, the show does not take place in a jungle. Mozart does not make an appearance as he's been dead since the year 1791. Over on Hulu, it's holiday time, but apparently the holiday is Halloween. Hulu is bringing 8 installments of Friday the 13th to the service at the start of December. You can also get a nice Quentin Tarantino fix at Hulu with Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs, both stream on the first day of December. Get so much more information at cnet.com/netpicks. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Ayaz. Bye, guys.
Ayaz in rare form there, man. That's good stuff.
No, I love that he takes the time to send those over to us, and certainly definitely check out all of his fantastic work over at CNET.
All right, Brian, I feel like we've been unfair to you. You do watch episodes and you do finish those episodes. What have you been watching?
Yeah, speaking of finishing, I finished all of Galactica 1980.
Really? How insulting is that to Luke Cage that you're like, oh, but I finished Galactica?
Well, because all right, well, we could talk about we can get into things, but specifically, there was one episode when I mentioned on Twitter that I was watching Galactica 1980. A bunch of people were like, the Starbuck episode. And I was really confused because I'm like, dude, Starbuck's not, there's no Apollo, no Starbuck. You got Kmart Apollo and Kmart Starbuck. And sure enough, the last episode, which I later researched, the last episode in the run is probably the only episode you need to watch. And it's actually really, really way good. It aired after the series was canceled, and sure enough, it starred Dirk Benedict as it's the story of how Starbuck dies, marooned and alone on a planet that he names Starbuck after himself, and he rebuilds one of the Cylons that becomes a companion. It's strange and quirky and dreamlike, and it's absolutely wonderful. It's better than everything else I saw put together, and like even if you dug the reboot or whatever, I would actually highly recommend going and rewatching it because it's delightful.
I actually watched that when it aired.
I did too as a kid.
It was so good.
Yeah. It was amazing how much of it resonated. Like there were specific lines that I exactly remembered. It was great. It was really
because it had Dirk Benedict and he was my favorite from Battlestar Galactica. I'm like, oh, they're finally going to bring him back, And I remember feeling partway through the episode disappointed. I'm like, oh, but he's not with the, I thought we're going to bring him back with the crew and everything, right? Because you're a kid, you just want to see it all happen again. But by the end of it, I was like, that was an amazing episode.
Dude, and Adama like making the call to Boomer is like, no, we're going to abandon him. We can't turn around for one life. And he gives this eulogy to Starbuck, and it was strangely moving. I thought it was great. Also continuing to watch Ash versus Evil Dead, getting caught up. Man, those set pieces, those horror over the top set pieces, pretty great. There's one that takes place in a morgue. He's got to get a book out of a chest cavity, but he doesn't know which body to get it from. So he hilariously just has to carve open a bunch of the bodies, and then Evil shows up, and all of a sudden, like, there's one moment that this half flayed open corpse is being, shoved on him, and he's screaming, no, not the butt, not the butt, not the butt. And his head goes all the way in the butt and is sticking out of the chest cavity of the guy.
That's classic Evil Dead.
It's so good, so over the top. I'm really loving it. And Lucy Lawless just gets better and better and more interesting in there.
I got to say, Westworld, we will talk about in spoiler in time. Do we want to do like 1-word reaction, 2-word reaction?
I'm glad they finally aired the pilot.
Okay. I'm glad. Yeah. I kind of agree with that, maybe for different reasons. But if you've been listening to Spoiler in Time, my theory was they've been telling this story in reverse.
Yeah,
and
very
we
much
got the beginning of the story.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Also, I did see Moana. I guess we'll talk about that in Spoiler in Time. Short review is I couldn't believe I'm saying this. It's even better than Zootopia. Like, I'll probably try to go see it again. It was delightful. I brought my daughters, and it began with a Calliope aged Moana, and then you watch her go through Josie aged Moana, and she becomes Penelope aged Moana. It was
cool.
amazing. Yeah.
That's really cool.
The dad is the tribal chief who's like, no, seriously, stay on the island. It's safe. I love you so much. I don't want you to run away. And it's like, I'm just crying the entire movie long. It was great.
If some of you out there don't realize, those are the names of Brian's daughters, and in order from youngest to oldest. And yeah, no, you see Moana grow up. And that's pretty amazing that you saw it through those eyes. That's awesome. Well, couple of things I've been watching. Brooklyn, which is a movie that got a lot of Oscar buzz and nominations. And it's the funniest thing. We watched it on HBO Now. I enjoyed it. It tells the story of a young Irish woman who goes to America because there really aren't prospects for her. But then there's troubles with her family back in Ireland. But she meets an Italian guy, and it's really well done. It doesn't fall into a lot of the stereotypes. It's not all yelling parents and star-crossed lovers. It's really sweet. And when the weirdest thing is, when it was done, I kept thinking like, oh, I wonder what they'll do next season. But it was a movie.
Oh, so it all felt set up. You felt like it was all world building for you.
It felt like a season 1. Like if this had been like, 8 episodes of an HBO series, totally would have bought it, enjoyed it, and couldn't wait to see where they took the character next.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. We also got a new television. Our television died this week, so we took the opportunity to replace it, and finally got a TV that has 4K. So, of course, one of the things you do when you get a new television that has 4K is you sit down and you watch all the 4K things that you can find. They are all on streaming services. Of course, we're cord cutters, so of course they are. Netflix had some gorgeous stuff. There's like an Oceans documentary. That's not really a documentary. It's just pretty scenes, but we were fascinated with it because in HDR, it looks amazing. We also watched some YouTube stuff of varying quality, but most of it looked pretty good. We watched some like EDM dance festival on there, and there was some good stuff there.
So how does the bandwidth tie in with that? Because everything you're mentioning is streaming. I would imagine that there has to be some level of compression on high fast moving stuff, right?
Yeah, but it's no different than compression on 1080 stuff. It's just bigger. And because I do this show, of course, we have a fiber connection at our house, so it makes a big difference. I was prepared to have some sputtering, not because of my bandwidth, but just because of how fat those pipes have to be to get all that stuff to us. Streaming quality was never an issue. When I talk about quality, it was merely the quality of whatever compression they were using or whatever shooting that they did. There was some of that stuff for the Tomorrowland festival was with a GoPro, and you could tell it was with a GoPro, and there were some little artifacts. But some of it was obviously done with a higher end camera. Also watched Transparent in 4K, episode 2 of season 3 on Amazon.
Was it 4 times as insightful?
No, it didn't look any different.
Oh, yeah.
And I wonder if like, okay, it didn't say HDR. So maybe it's just 4K.
So to be clear, your television does support HDR.
Yes, it does.
And so if and when I get one with HDR, like do you believe HDR is the real killer feature more than the 4K
oh,
part?
absolutely. That's a thing your eyes will notice and go, wow, those colors look rich and the contrast is amazing. 4K is barely discernible.
Yeah. Well, especially if you're more than like 4 feet away from the television.
Yeah, absolutely. It's also the first smart TV I've had. This doesn't really play into what we're watching, but it's weird to be like, oh, I'm going to use the Netflix on the television because I'm sure that it's going to get the 4K stream and convert it right, and I haven't checked to make sure all my HDMI cables are up to snuff and things like that. And it was interesting to be in the position of like, oh, I want to use an app on a television because that eliminates some troubleshooting.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see if you're still preferring that 2 or 3 years from now.
Yeah. All right. That's what we've been watching. Let's see what Bryce's been on the lookout for.
Hey, we got a letter from listener Richard. He sent along this playlist inspired by the new Netflix show, The Crown. He writes, my fiance and I are really liking The Crown too. While watching it, I realized there's an unofficial 20th century British royal video playlist. So he sends along that you start with Downton Abbey, which is the early 20th century that covers the early 20th century and World War I. Prince Edward makes a cameo. And then you move to The King's Speech, which is World War II. You follow Edward's rise, and then you see George's rise to power. Then The Crown on Netflix, which is post-World War II. That's Queen Elizabeth's turn and the introduction of Charles, and then the movie The Queen, which is the late 20th century, where Charles is an adult, but the Queen is still in power. We see the damage to the monarchy and backlash from the death of Princess Diana. Thought it's an interesting connection between these two shows and movies. Love the show. Keep up the good work. So you kind of have to go a little over the place to see all of these, but Downton Abbey has 6 seasons streaming for free now on Amazon Prime Video. The King's Speech is available for rent or purchase on most digital stores. The Crown is now streaming on Netflix, and The Queen is streaming on Stars and available for rent or purchase on most stores.
I mean, I don't want to call out these producers, but I get the vibe that they're just going to keep on making up those stories. Next thing you know, they'll be talking about Prince William and Harry and so on. And then their children.
No kidding.
And then Kate. Kate plus 8.
It's
and then there'll be prequels about King George.
Entertainment complex.
And then there'll be like prequels where it's like not even about King George, about like some colony revolting against King George.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if they already made that.
Yeah, and they won't even have an imaginative name. They'll just name it after the year when it supposedly happened.
Supposedly happened.
An America denier.
America denier. Right? He's a loyalist.
Prove it. You got something we should be on the lookout for? Email us cordkillers@gmail.com. Brian Brushwood.
Hey, man.
What's been going on with you?
Dude, I can't remember if we talked about it on the show proper or in the after show, but I mentioned something kind of weird was happening with the Monologue YouTube channel. We launched it 3 months ago. I think it was September 9th, and uploaded a back catalog of 20-something episodes. And then we just been plugging away doing our thing. And then last week I was talking to you. You were joking that it was Eileen flipping a switch on her way out of YouTube, which I would love to believe that's the case. But I don't know what's happening. We have gained 7,000 to 10,000 new subscribers every day since we were last here talking about it. That how to make a prison wine episode is creeping up on 750,000 views just in the last week and change. I don't know what's happening, but the outpouring of excitement has been extraordinary, and I just hope it keeps on going. And if you haven't watched the Monologue, apparently it's pretty good. It's people are saying really nice things about it. So head on over to youtube.com/Monologue and help support this what looks to be my new flagship product. Sorry, John. No, John. Tom.
No worries. Your flagship product was not the show beforehand. So I'm not upset now. I think it's great, especially there's always these rumblings about YouTube and its subscriptions, and PewDiePie today said when he gets to his 50 million subscriber, he's going to end his channel because he's so upset about the way the subscription counting is working and glitches and this sort of thing. So it's good to have some positive news.
Well,
my wife doesn't even work there anymore, so
we can say whatever we want. We can speculate wildly about YouTube. Yeah, and I don't know if the algorithm changes have anything to do with this or not. I know that we certainly actually wrote the show and designed it and edited it and produced it with the intent of just getting straight to the point. Like there's not even there's no title sequence. We don't introduce ourselves. We start every episode mid-sentence, basically. I don't know. It seems to be working.
Maybe people just like it.
Could be.
Yeah. Because I know once you get people watching, it starts to show up in other recommended lists. And then the more people watch, the more times it shows up, and it could just build on itself.
Yeah, that's one of those things where it's like it matters that you watch things to completion. We were talking before the show that I was looking at the audience retention on one of them, and there's this drop-off point and then a resurgence at one particular spot. When I clicked on it, turns out that's the one spot I get hit in the nuts with a breaking nunchuck.
What a shock.
Yeah, and apparently we'll just make that the show from now on.
All right. Well, now I'm going to talk a lot about how awesome Fandango is. No, I'm not. I'm just kidding. Amazon. It's time for the front lines. We can't do the front lines without the front lines thing.
Front lines.
Amazon has added HBO and Cinemax as options to add on to an Amazon Prime Video subscription. So, like Brian did with Stars, you could now do with HBO. It still costs $15 a month for HBO. Cinemax will cost you $10 a month. It appears that the service would only work inside Amazon Video apps. So you don't get to watch HBO Go or HBO Now. If they change that or you find out that that's not true, let us know. But it seems like, and this is the way Amazon usually does it, you watch it within the Amazon Instant Video app and you get most of the same things you would otherwise.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man, it's a seductive way to rope me in. It's just all in that easy, cozy Amazon ecosystem. I do not regret one bit my purchase of Stars, although it sounds like Bryce got
caught by it.
Bryce got caught, but it was for a good movie, right?
No.
You signed up for Stars 7-day trial, and now you pay for Stars because you wanted to watch which movie again?
I wanted. There's reasons.
Just say the movie. Say the movie.
Paul Blart Mall Cop 2.
I mean, we did have the anniversary of the announcement of the Segway recently, so I understand why you'd want to celebrate that.
Oh boy.
The chat room is brutal in the response. Hey, Hulu started streaming 4K content on Xbox One S and PS4 Pro. The offering includes Hulu originals like The Path and 11/22/63, as well as 20 James Bond movies. That's kind of a leap from those originals to the back catalog, but I guess film, you can upscale it to any size you want, huh?
Yeah, it seems like they looked around and said, hey, what studio can give us 4K movies? Because we have a launch coming. And they were able to get the James Bond movies for some reason. I haven't looked at these because they haven't actually showed up on any of the platforms. Well, I guess no, I don't have an Xbox One S or a PS4 Pro, so I'm not going to be able to watch them. But sure, why not? It's a start.
Do you have 4K fever? Like, are you just hungry? Like, whatever you got, I want to see it in 4K
A little
HDR?
bit. I mean, I'm not going to say that as soon as we got off the phone from show prep, I immediately turned on the TV just to look at it.
Yeah.
And go, wow, that just looks so pretty. But I did. CBS All Access started allowing viewers to see NFL games this Sunday in the 150 markets where a live stream of CBS programming is available. Thursday Night Football will also be available. Before, they had to black them out because they didn't have the rights. The games will not be viewable on your phone, only on your tablets, your laptops, and your desktops or your set-top boxes, because Verizon and Twitter have exclusives on mobile NFL streams. I actually ran into this on Sunday because we wanted to watch the Raiders game and I couldn't watch it on my phone. I had to watch it on my tablet.
So silly. Those distinctions are just going to look increasingly hilarious as we move forward. Meanwhile, Plex has added support for Google Drive, OneDrive, and Dropbox to Plex Cloud. Plex Cloud has been having problems with the Amazon integration when launched in September. The idea is to give people a Plex option without needing to set up local servers. You'll need an invitation to try Plex Cloud and pay for the Plex Pass for $5 a month, $40 a year. Plex has also added support for a Kodi plugin for Plex Pass subscribers through coming for all soon. Man, Plex. I can.
Easy. What?
Tongue twisters. Don't make your products tongue twisters. That's all I'm asking.
Seriously. Plex Fun. Plex subscription.
Yeah, don't name your podcast East Meets West.
Yeah, that's a really bad idea. I can tell you that. 10 years running on that one. No, seriously, this is big news for the Plex fans out there that you can get a Kodi plugin, because up until now it's been a one or the other thing. Like, well, I'm going to live in Plex or I'm going to live in Kodi. They both are derived from XBMC, but they've kind of taken different paths as to how you use them. So supporting a Kodi plugin means all you Kodi users can hop on the Plex bandwagon, or vice versa. You can add your Kodi stuff into your Plex system.
Awesome.
Starz is integrating Spotify into its mobile app to allow users to do things like listen to a movie soundtrack or a related playlist after watching the movie. Spotify subscribers can link their accounts to hear whole tracks, and non-subscribers can still even listen, but they only hear 30-second previews. Starz will also recommend movies and shows based on your Spotify listening habits. You got to try this, Brian.
I will, sure. I unfortunately, my Spotify habits are there's basically like 2 albums I listen to while I work out all the time, and that's it. So it's going to be all like, here's any movie that has Pendulum in it.
You're gonna get a lot. You're just gonna get workout videos.
Yes,
from Starz.
Exactly.
Jackie Sorensen's aerobics is your favorite. I don't use Spotify or Starz, but I think it's an interesting way for a music subscription service to build interest, to say like, hey, movie lovers, we know you also like music. Because I'll tell you what, add a lot of songs to playlists based on what I see in movies or TV shows.
I had a very real moment while I was cooking over the weekend where I understood the power of any kind of entity that knows your back history with it, whether it's movies or music or whatever. I was in the middle of cooking and the last of my MSG ran out, my accent, and I said, Alexa. And by the way, everyone cover your Alexas.
Oh no! Just apologize.
Okay,
right
I apologize. I spoke to the box that was in the kitchen and said order more accent, and then the robot said like, hey, that product's not available. You're talking about that accent that you got, but here's some alternate off-brand MSG that you want me to just go with that. I'm like, yeah, sure. And all of a sudden I realized I had a contextual conversation with a robot, and it actually worked and was useful. So if that kind of experience can come to more of my entertainment choices, we're getting closer to that digital concierge service I keep wanting.
No, absolutely. That's pretty cool. I love that idea. Although I hope what you get is actually MSG. Hey, I know a guy. He can hook you up.
I did look at it on my purchase history. I'm like, yeah, that looks like that'll be fine.
Sure. Yeah, sure. It's got those 3 letters in there. All right, let's get to our dispatches from the front of the cord-killing wars.
Yeah.
Oh man, Brian, we got a letter from the boss.
The boss?
Yeah.
How many?
Hello, new employees. Yes, this is a message from your new boss. I killed the cord. After 17 plus years as a cable subscriber, I finally set myself free. Everything I watch is time shifted in some manner. And 3 weeks ago, Comcast changed the MPEG encoding on their video stream from MPEG 2 to MPEG 4, rendering my older HD TiVo obsolete. I'd been thinking about killing the cord for about a year now, so I started researching options. I could get a new TiVo for free, thanks to a deal TiVo is offering for those of us affected by Comcast, and pay $350 for a new subscription to the service. And that would leave me still paying $150 a month for cable. No internet, no phone, just cable. Add to that the money I already pay for Netflix and Hulu commercial free, and it adds up. So I decided to check PlayStation Vue. While its interface is a bit wonky, their basic offering at $30, he found a $30 offer, I can only find $40, gave me the channels I watch, USA, TNT, Sci-Fi, and NBC Sports for Formula One. It also gave my wife the news channel she wanted. And the killer feature of PlayStation Vue is the on-demand viewing ability. As I said before, I don't watch anything live. It works on my PlayStation 3 and my Apple TV. I installed the app on my wife's Amazon Fire Stick, and after 3 days, I got the thumbs up from her. I picked up a new indoor TV antenna to hook up to my TiVo for local major network channels and my local PBS station. Found out there are 46 broadcast channels in my area. I called Comcast, was directed to a loyalty retention agent who helped me disconnect the service in about 5 minutes. Cord killed. So I decided to take some of that $100+ saved each month and give some to you guys. Meet the new boss. Same as the old boss? No, not really. Your insights, opinions, and information about the various options for TV viewing have helped me and my wife, and I always look forward to the Spoiler in Time discussions. We often will ask, I wonder what they'll say about that on Spoiler in Time. We started watching Justified shortly after you guys started and ended up plowing through all 6 seasons in less than a month. It's pretty good. I won't spoil it for you, but the series ended working for me, unlike the series endings of most shows. Now, get back to work, you employees. And then he gives us permission to read this email.
Roger that, boss. Man,
thanks, Todd.
That totally makes my day to hear. Meanwhile,
Todd Asher.
We got another email from Brian that says, hey guys, what options are there for watching broadcast channels when you can't pick them up with an antenna? Where I live, I can't pick up ABC and I want to watch their sports. Sling and View do not have local channels in my area. The local station does not stream and network site is hostile to cord cutters. Any other ideas? Thanks, guys. Man, I'd hate to say it, but I think we may have to kind of kick this out to the crowd at large because you hit all the obvious solutions. Tom, did you have any ideas?
Yeah, I mean, he probably knows this, but just for people in the audience, you can still get ABC shows on demand from Sling, View, and Hulu. You just can't get the live streaming version of ABC. For that, there is no good option that we know of, except for a taller antenna maybe or something like that. But yeah,
but also
Cordkillers@gmail.com if anybody's got a good idea for him.
And keep in mind, don't discount the idea. I know it sounds weird to buy series that you haven't even seen yet. It feels, but that tends to be the most convenient way. And I got to tell you, I love having the commercials edited out. I love just doing the season pass right at the beginning and say, give me the whole season of this. And as they come in, just watching them the next morning.
Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't care about live, then he should just go with PlayStation View, Sling, or DirecTV. Well, not DirecTV now so much, but go with one of those and just get their on-demand offering for ABC or Hulu. Hulu has all those shows. If it's I want to watch things as they happen, or there's the Oscars coming up and ABC has it. I really love Jimmy Kimmel, whatever. Then you're looking for some other solution.
Yeah.
Anthony says, hello, Brian and Tom. The problem with DirecTV Now and similar upcoming services is that the service has to be good enough to entice cord cutters, but not so good that it gets more people to ditch cable for the skinny bundle. AT&T completed their purchase of DirecTV just a year ago. AT&T isn't going to release an over-the-top service that gets DirecTV customers to cancel their satellite subscriptions 1 year after the purchase when they spent $48.5 billion on it. He may be right about that, although a lot of companies would look at it and say, hey, if anybody's going to cannibalize it, we want it to be ourselves. Anyway, he says it's also worth noting that all the over-the-top services are made by media or cable companies. Dish owns Sling, AT&T owns DirecTV, Sony, which owns a movie studio and other media assets, owns PlayStation View. They don't want to start the switch from cable to over-the-top right away. They have a few more dollars to squeeze out of cable. And he's right about that, especially for companies like Comcast and Dish. Is they want to dance it right. They don't want to move people to a less revenue generating service too fast.
Right. Meanwhile, Andy Beach responds, because I guess he telepathically knew this was coming. He says, regarding how Sling wound up on the X1 DVR from Comcast, let me walk you down a path of what might have happened over at Comcast. At any big company, there are many different small fiefdoms that go into moving the overall business forward. In the business of the home cable box at Comcast, the X1 is their primary product, though not the only one. And QAM-based delivery of videos, the biggest business, though not the only one. In fact, most of the areas or one of the areas that's been growing is the third-party application ecosystem for the X1 box. See, when they built this box, they built a framework so that third-party devs could build services for it. Somewhere at Comcast, there's a team that support that business. They got engineers to build and support APIs and the frameworks. They got marketing folks to go out and evangelize it. They got biz dev folks assigned to ink out some deals. Netflix was their big announcement here earlier in the year, but that's of course not enough. So now that that team is out there attempting to get other services to build apps for their ecosystem. Dish has a legacy of world TV packages with Sling, so an app for X1 that will pull in those channels is not out of the realm of possibility. In the behind-the-scenes conversations, I can see an argument for each company where they agreed to do this. Sling gets yet another platform they can promote being on. Comcast gets to tout that they have yet another service signing up for its app platform. They both realistically know this will be a small market for now. Sling probably hopes they can cannibalize a small slice of Comcast customers, and Comcast hopes that it's a small enough number that it doesn't really impact their numbers any more than current attrition is impacting them. I, of course, wasn't in the room when these deals were made, but I've been in enough rooms where similar discussions were had that I had to believe something similar happened here. Just my 2 cents. Yeah, everything you say totally rings true to me, Andrea. Andy, I think that you are spot on.
Yeah. We forget sometimes that companies aren't a guy, right? Who's like, I'm doing this. Companies are made up of hundreds, sometimes thousands of people. And if there is a team that's tasked with making the X1 app system profitable, they don't care if Sling TV undermines some other division of the company. They want to get it on the box, and they'll do whatever it takes to get on the box. So, if that boosts their bottom line.
Exactly.
Finally, James from Provo writes, I've been getting emails from VidAngel about the impending court battle with the big studios on December 19th, and I was wondering if you guys had any thoughts about VidAngel's chances for success. They've created a humorous video explaining their position, and I was wondering what your thoughts were. Namely, does it accurately explain the situation, and do you think there is any hope for those wanting filtering options to be available if this fails? If you don't know VidAngel, we've talked about them before on the show. They are a service that streams you a video with curse words taken out, with filtering applied. So you can say, hey, I want to watch this movie, but I don't like hearing or seeing certain things like nude scenes. I want to watch it with my kids. I would like to have that done. What VidAngel also does is only charges you $1 to do this. And they have tried, as they explained in this video, several ways to get around studio objections. Now, I don't find anything they put in this video to be incorrect, but they are certainly pitching it as the studios want to stop us from giving you the option of filtering. And that's not exactly what's going on. The studios don't object to the filtering so much as they object to you making a business off of filtering without us getting a cut of it. And VidAngel says, well, we buy the DVDs so they get a cut of it, but that doesn't matter. The studios want to control the filtering options. So if you want to know, like, what are the arguments against VidAngel, and VidAngel makes a great case for the arguments of why they should be allowed to do this. Don't forget that VidAngel doesn't deliver the disc to the home, so it is potentially violating rebroadcasting. Yes, they buy the DVD. Yes, they don't make a copy of it. So they're under the Family Movie Act, they're fine, but they are also retransmitting. They try to say that the Family Act trumps any other laws. Not sure about that. They say that it trumps the DMCA, but VidAngel is definitely circumventing copyright protection by decoding the DVDs they play and then streaming them to their customers. Now, VidAngel claims they don't have to follow that because of the Family Movie Act. That's why we have judges, is to decide exactly this sort of thing. Does the Family Movie Act trump the DMCA? Is this a fair use for them to allow filtering? It'll be interesting to see what the court decides.
Yeah. What do you want the answer for the court to give to be? Like, do you have a dog in this fight? Like, because my gut says, in general, I'm always in favor of more freedom, not less, right? So I think it's fine but the question is, which decision grants more freedom? Am I more in favor of VidAngel's freedom to take existing media and remix it in some new generative way? Yes, but also am I in favor of the freedom for creators who own their content to control how it's distributed? Like, if I make a movie and you're like, I don't like your movie, I'm going to make it where a giant butt poops at the end, and then that's the end. And then that becomes the dominant form, and all of a sudden I'm on my deathbed. I'm like, oh, the guy that made the butt pooping movie. And it's like, no, that wasn't the movie I intended at all.
Kind of sucks, doesn't it? Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's tough.
It's such a big question. There's so many things that this case can't solve that I want. Like, I want there to be reasonable copyright law that is actually written in order to encourage creative works and not to ossify business plans, this is not going to fix. My worry, I guess, in this case is that if VidAngel were to win, they'd win because the Family Movie Act gave them some shelter, which would do nothing to improve copyright law. If they won on the fair use case, I would find that to be really interesting, because here would be another piece of court documentation to say, here's where we think the line of fair use is. And that I would find that to be slightly reasonable, but it certainly wouldn't settle the issue.
Yeah. Interesting. Aereo 2.0. Like this time, weirder.
Yeah, Neshcom says I don't see. Well, Bryce, you're right there. I don't see how this is doing less than Aereo, and that's what the judge is going to have to decide. Is it a person paying someone to stream a video a DVD that they're renting to them, right? Which could be similar to a cloud DVR, or is it someone rebroadcasting a DVD without authorization?
Yeah. Still at Work says, how else will I be able to watch John McClane say yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon?
My favorite line from that movie. A Christmas classic. I'm still mad. I'm really mad. They built this house that blocks my view of the Nakatomi Tower.
The Nakatomi Tower?
Building.
Oh.
Yeah, the Nakatomi building I could see it out my kitchen window, and then they built a house in the way. And now
here's what you do. You need to get some German friends.
Yes,
you need to grab some guns, blow up the top of it.
I'm going to die hard. All right. Thanks, everybody. Our website is cordkillers.com. Our email address is cordkillers@gmail.com. We're live on diamondclub.tv Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. We won't see you there, but you will see us. So please join us.
Love you, bosses. Hey, guys. Tom and Brian here. We just wanted to say thank you to all of our $5 patrons who keep us loud, live, and independent. You guys make Cordkillers the production that it is.
Your name appears in the video credits and appears in our hearts. And if you'd like to become one of them or see who they are, you can go to patreon.com/cordkillers.
You'll need to do more than just go there, though. You'll have to sign up and, pledge an amount. But
unless you just want to see who they are.
Well, I mean, you could gawk. That's a little creepy, isn't it?
If you want to be a gawker,
let's go.
It's up to you.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.